Hello, and welcome to the FLICK Critic Reviews and Interviews. I'm your host, John Smistad, and these are my takes on films both new and not so, spanning a wide range of genres and tastes, plus conversations with some of the coolest people in indie entertainment. Now, let us rock with this one, shall we? My guests for this episode of the FLICK Critic Reviews and Interviews are the co-directors of the soon-to-be-released documentary, Can You Bring It? Bill T. Jones and D-Man in the Waters. I have with me Roz LeBlanc and Tom Hurwitz. Just a brief description before we launch into our chat here with Roz and Tom in terms of what this production is about. And the tagline reads, reaching beyond the world of dance and the remarkable legacy of renowned choreographer, dancer, director, Bill T. Jones. This documentary touches the essence of creativity and its relevance to the times in which we now live. And that will become more clear in terms of what that means as we talk about the film, which we're going to start doing now with Roz, if we may. Roz, can you give us an idea as an audience what we can expect to see with Can You Bring It, Bill T. Jones and D-Man in the Waters?
You can expect to see a film about the role of art in a time of crisis. The film uses dance as the platform, but it is not exclusive to dance. It doesn't look at dance from a rarefied kind of esoteric lens. It uses dance to underscore a very universal human process of connection at a time of crisis. In the case of the film, it also looks at the height of the AIDS crisis and that very human need to reach out to one another and connect and look to each other to get through something together. The dance is a metaphor for that. It was made out of that time period, and it gets restaged 30 years later to a group of students who then have to look at each other and think about what they're going through and how they're going to channel those very human needs to connect through an art form.
The dance takes place in two time periods at the same time. It takes place in the history of the dance when it started, right after Bill T. Jones lost his life and artistic partner, Arnie Zane, to AIDS. So it takes place as the company, as Roz was saying, as the company tries to put itself back together as the world is falling apart around them. Yeah. And it also takes place in the present as Roz herself is putting the dance on a group of students at this time who have to find a way to reach both into themselves and into the past and connect with the spirit and the power behind this dance.
What was the inspiration to even do this production? What moved you to get to a place where I need to make this film?
I was a member of the Bill T. Jones Arnie Zane Company. I joined in 1993, and this was when D-Man in the Waters as a dance was probably at the peak of its popularity and demand and repertory at that time. So I was performing that dance a lot. It was the bread and butter of the company. It was the unanimous crowd pleaser, the one everyone wanted. And I was intrigued by the history. I wanted to know who D-Man was. Of course, all of that history was being transferred to me from Bill and from that original cast who are also in the film. And the history was alive in their bodies. They were just 3 or 4 years away from having lost Arnie, and they were all around his bedside when they lost him. So it was a life-altering experience that they had all just had, and they were carrying it in their bodies, and they were carrying it into this dance. And I entered as a young person. I was 19 at the time.
Wow.
And just absorbing all of this. It was a profoundly affecting experience to be around them in rehearsal and on stage. I fell in love with the dance. It remained my favorite dance throughout my career. When I went into teaching, I returned to the company working to restage many pieces. D-Man was one of them. And the effort to restage D-Man with its rich history was really, it was challenging, because I was trying, this was a group of people now in the present day who learn very little about AIDS.
Sure.
And so that was the root of the film.
Yeah.
How do you restage it and bring it back to its level of imperative and emotional intensity with a whole new group of people who haven't lived through that time?
Yeah.
That was the central question.
We had something that was bigger than just a vehicle for teaching this dance. It seemed to me we had a story that went to the heart of what it meant to be a human being. And then we realized that it would be much more powerful if we connected it to restaging the dance now. So that added that layer on top of that. But Roz didn't know whether she should be central to the film. She should be the person who was restaging the dance. And that took one day of shooting with her to find out that that was exactly the right thing to do.
When you see the film, you will understand what Tom's talking about, and that'll lead us back to Roz. This is a final question, and I have seen the film. Roz, watching you talk to these kids, I call them because I'm old, but young people, these young professionals. We talked before we started the interview. This matters to you. It was emotional. You were overcome, but you fought through it, and you needed these people to understand why this production was important, why it should be important to them internally and from their heart and their soul. What do you want us as an audience to come away with from watching your film? How do you want us to connect with this production?
I think one of the things, and this is actually a question that Tom and I talked about a lot over the 9 years that we made this, is, and I think that the best way to answer this is a feeling. So there is a certain feeling that you get when you have seen the live dance, D-Man in the Waters. When you're sitting in the theater, you've seen the dance ends, and you're walking out of the theater. There is a collective feeling that you've gone through an experience that is not necessarily joyful the whole time, is not necessarily one where you're just being fed, information that you immediately understand. It's that you feel like you're going through something and you've come out the other side and you're changed.
Yeah.
And the change is this deep understanding that what matters in life is human connection. And that's it. And if you have that, you can get through anything, even death, even when it's a scourge. We just went through this with COVID, and I feel that that revelation is so deep, it's so elemental to us as human beings, and it cuts through everything. It cuts through work and money and technology and all of these things we add to our lives. It's just that handhold that I need you right now, and we have to connect. And that's what we wanted the film to do. We wanted people to finish this film and just have that, that deep, we matter, humanity matters, people matter, love matters,
We have to bring it.
Yeah. And we have to show up in person for each other. And that's the other aspect that you kind of realize through the dance, is that it's in person. It can't be done through virtual or theoretical connections. It's, are you holding that hand or not? And if you are, how strongly do you have me?
This is about both the making of the dance, the doing of the dance, and the seeing of the dance. So all three things. And so we had to work out a way of filming dance that respected the movement, but at the same time made you feel like you were part of it, like another dancer.
The film is Can You Bring It? Bill T. Jones and D-Man in the Waters. We have been talking for the past several moments with the co-directors, Roz LeBlanc and Tom Hurwitz. Roz and Tom, thank you so much for sharing time with us on the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. I think Roz nailed it. She did. And then Tom supported it. We're all part of this thing we call the human condition. No matter what we look like, what we believe, what our life is about or not about. And that resonates and comes through very strongly in this production.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Can You Bring It? Bill T. Jones and D-Man in the Waters begins streaming on April 3rd on worldchannel.org and on the YouTube channels of World Channel and Black Public Media as part of Afropop, the ultimate cultural exchange. On television, it will air nationally on April 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on World Channel. You can check your local listings for your World Channel station and re-airings. Thanks for watching this episode of the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. Now I ask that you please subscribe and be notified of my continuous new episode announcements. As always, you can read all of my flick reviews on my long-running blog, The Quick Flick Critic, at this URL you now see displayed on your screen right down here. So until next time, make it a great day and make it count. Goodbye, everybody.
Aww.